What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video of Heavy Steel and Hot Rods. Today, it's just another one of these little sit downs. I want to talk about something that I learned when I was in trade school. So I am actually an owner of a steel erection company, a structural steel company. We fabricate, we steel erect, ironworking, certified welding, things of that nature. We build hotels, we build restaurants, we build medical facilities. Commercial construction is what we really do. I want to talk to you about something we really mostly use: arc welding, which is stick welding in the field. So this is something that I've carried with me. This is something that stuck with me. I learned at the beginning of my trade school, and it stuck with me, and I use it on a regular basis when I'm out here welding. It's something that, a little procedure that's able to help me stay consistent. So it's the process of lash, L-A-S-H, length standing for L standing for length, A standing for angle, S for speed, and H for heat. So the length would be the distance between your base metal, whatever you're welding, whether it be a beam, a column, if you're forming something, if you're fabbing something, whatever you're going to weld, the base metal that you want to weld together versus the filler metal. So if you're running wire, or you're running, like in this scenario, I'm talking about arc welding, stick welding, we use a lot of 1/8 rods, 3/32 rods. These rods are usually 6011, 6010 series. We do a lot of 7018 series on our structural welding. So with that being said, we don't want to have the length between our base metal and our filler metal too small to where we're going to be getting stuck, and now we're compromising our rod because it's overheating. When you pull it off, you know, a lot of times it breaks off the flux, and you don't want to have it too far away where now you're creating a lot of splatter. You don't have this controlled zone where the flux is actually protecting the weld filler metal inside. You want to be able to have a nice consistent length. And I was taught in welding school, you know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I was taught to kind of keep the same width of the size rod that you're using. So in our scenario, we tend to use a lot of 1/8 rods. So we try to keep a 1/8 gap between the filler metal and the base metal. So that'll be the L in lash. The A is going to stand for angle. So that's going to be the angle in which you're welding. You know, you don't want to have your stick directly down like this. If you're welding, you want to have a slight angle. That way gravity and that way the heat that actually burns and lays down the filler metal is working all together, and then your manipulation of the puddle itself actually lays a consistent, nice bead down. You don't want to just be ramming it in there, because a lot of times it's going to bulge up. You'll have a lot of undercut and things like that. So you want to make sure that your angle is nice. Of course, your angle is going to change in every scenario. If you're welding pipe, something like a 6G rotated, it's going to be ever changing. It's going to be different if you're welding in overhead out here structurally. You know, if you're doing a moment weld where you're just running like a 2G, something like a horizontal pass, but it's literally flat. You know, so it's kind of like a 1G horizontal. Different things are going to be different. The different scenarios are going to call for different angles, and that's why you're going to have to always be knowing how to manipulate it, knowing how to position your elbow and find a pivot point and things of that nature. Find a process that fits you, but always know that you need to have the length correct and the angle correct. And the next thing would be, I would say, the speed, you know, which is the S. That talks about the speed is in which how fast you're running. So with arc welding, with stick welding, we control how fast the actual filler metal is being put into the base metal. So if we want to go really slow and create a big, you know, what they call gorilla welds out here in Texas, where it's a big old fucking weave type of thing, you could go really slow and just slowly weave those things in there, kind of like if you're walking the cup type of thing. You're gonna leave big old gorilla welds is what they call them out here. Or if you were gonna kind of do something like a stringer where you're just gonna kind of scratch it back and forth, you'll leave a smaller one. So the speed in which you're actually pushing the rod in and moving yourself across the base metal, that's what the S stands for. If you're doing MIG or flux core, wire fed welding is going to be different. That's going to be the actual speed you set your machine to. But if you're doing arc welding like we're doing in the field, it's going to be the speed at which you're moving. You're able to manipulate that rod and burn it into a bead onto your base metal. And lastly comes to the heat. That's going to be the whole machine. That's going to be how you set up your machine to your preference. You know, there's some guys that I've worked with and still currently work with alongside, not in my company, but I've worked with in the past alongside with them, and they weld really cold. It's not talking shit about them. It's just, to me, I don't understand how they can weld that cold. But I also, these guys are lot of them are pipe welders, they're industrial welders and things of that nature. I was a commercial iron worker, so we took, you know, sometimes 500 to 1,000 foot of lead with us, depending on something that we were building. If we didn't have a spider box with us, if we didn't have, you know, one of these Lincoln suitcases with us, a lot of times we were hauling it a lot of fucking lead. And so when it comes down to those things, we just turn our fucking machine all the way up, you know, because we know a lot of that voltage is going to get lost within the lead because there's so much lead out there strung around. And then we also want to have it hot because we got used to the fact that if it's too cold, you have to run down. Inevitably, if it's too cold, you have to run down the machine and you have to turn it up. If it's too hot, you just go back to the S, to speed, and maybe to your angle and to your length, and make sure that you manipulate all of those things before the H, before the E, and you run it. You know what I mean? Fucking send that bitch and get it, and you make sure you throw a good fucking weld. And a lot of times as iron workers, connectors, I was a connector. I was up there. A lot of the welding that I did wasn't for moment welding. It was for if a plate didn't fit, a connection plate, you know, a flag plate didn't particularly fit correctly, so that we didn't have to pull the acetylene bottles up there, the torch out there, actually blow the holes ourselves. We would let the bolt up crew do that. We would just weld it right on the knife plate, right on the fucking flag plate, excuse me, and weld it right there. And where it sat, that's where it was. So we would string a welder along with it to kind of have it there just in case we needed it. And it was on full blast, you know, it was running really hot, you know. And then also it was able, so if we needed to hot rod something where we ever had to burn it out, we could also do that. Sometimes a bolt don't fit particularly well, but you don't need to weld it all the way out. Go ahead and pass me that right there, that stinger. I'm gonna put a 7018 on there, and I'm gonna concentrate my welding to one point and just keep pushing it out, and whatever slag is there, I'm gonna hit it with my beater, hit it with my spud, and make sure it's nice and clean so I can bolt it up. So things of that nature, we learned to kind of make sure our heat was all the way up and it was hot, and we just kind of manipulated our speed to make sure that it matched each other. So right now I just want to take a couple minutes, guys, and talk to you guys about that, because that's something that I was taught fairly early on into my trade school of combination welding, and I ended up being an iron worker, and it helped me out all the time because I was always finding myself in weird positions, hanging upside down, hanging all crazy, you know what I mean, off of a building, using a position and lanyard literally on the outside of a building welding, being stuffed in between beams and lying down, you know, in what do they call them, in enclosed spaces and things like that. So I think if you use lash, if you understand that the length between your filler metal, your base metal, the angle in which you're actually going to put your rod there, the speed in which you're manipulating the puddle, and the heat that you set your machine down, if you can think about those consistently while you're welding and make sure that you're using those as kind of a bulletin, a staple, a procedure, and you use those constantly, I think you're going to be a pretty damn good welder. It's helped me out. I'm not saying I'm the best welder, but I'm able to pass a welding test with flying colors. I was a welding inspector for a little bit, and we could talk about that at a later date as well. So I think I know a little bit what I'm talking about when it comes to welding, at least arc welding, stick welding. When it comes to like heliarc and TIG, I ain't done that too much in a long time. I did learn how to do it. I do know how, but like I said, I'm not nearly as good as some other guys out there. But when it comes to iron working and structural welding, it's super simple. A lot of it is just verticals, overheads, flats, horizontals. Super simple to me. I think I'm pretty knowledgeable in it. So if you guys could use lash, if it helps you, you know, more power to you. If it doesn't, you think it's kind of stupid, you know what I mean, if there's another procedure that you follow, go ahead and hit me up in the comments down below and let me know what it is. I'd love to learn the way you guys do it. You know, this is just a way that I've learned, that they taught me. I don't know if it was in the books. Honestly, I don't remember if it was in the books or if it was just something that the instructor knew himself from prior knowledge being passed on to him that he taught to us. So I just wanted to pass it on to you guys. You know, lash, length, angle, speed, and heat. Hopefully that can help out somebody out there trying to fix up some of their welds. If you have, you know, if you have high-low, if you have some corn-rolled, you know what I mean, real rolled out high welds that are real round at the top, you know what I mean, if you have a lot of splatter, you know what I mean, if you have undercut, if you have a lot of porosity, these things can be figured out using the process of lash, length, angle, speed, and heat. So it's a very, very simple thing. To me, it was kind of hard to remember that acronym when I was younger, so I wrote it down on my toolbox. Lash, length, angle, speed, and heat. And I kind of found little things that I knew, like if I was going to be welding certain positions, I would kind of set it to 120, I'd set it to 130, you know, different positions, vertical and overhead. I always ran a lot hotter than I ran flat, just because I knew I needed to manipulate this puddle a little bit more, and I was going to be whipping it and doing things of that nature. So If you guys found this helpful or anything like that, go ahead and hit me up. Leave me a comment down below. You guys know the whole deal. Like, subscribe, share the videos with somebody that might be a welder, a fabricator, an iron worker. Share it with somebody that might want to learn to start welding and doing this for a living. You know what I mean? Or even if it's a DIY kind of hobby thing. Hopefully this helps you out. Let me know. If you guys already subscribed to the channel and you haven't hit the notification bell, please do that. It helps you guys be notified every time I drop a short or a long content video, and then that helps me out in return for the channel. More than you guys know, it helps us out a lot. So these analytics are running up, so I really appreciate everybody from the bottom of my heart. You know, I put a lot of my time and my efforts into these videos, so it may not look that way, I know, to some people, because they're kind of cheesy, kind of corny, but it's something that I do to show my day-to-day things that I do for my company, and then how I have fun with my cars. You know, I have my burnout car, I have the C10, and then I have this truck that I'm sitting in, the tow pig. So if anybody likes these videos, you know, like, subscribe, comment down below, share the videos. For everybody else, man, just understand, believe in yourself. If you want to do something, become a welder, fabricator, anything of that nature. If you're trying to enter the construction industry, please think about becoming a welder, welder helper, or rigger, anything of that nature. We need new workers. We need people with the good, positive motivation to make some good, honest money, and then do good work and be proud of it. So if this is something you're interested in, please find a local trade school, go to college, learn a trade, get your hands dirty, earn some good money, and you know, don't ever be afraid to make new goals and plan for the future, because if you learn to use your hands, at the end of the day, you can always build something for yourself. If something's taken away from you, you can always restart. Skills cannot be taken from you. Jobs can come and go. So I would always encourage people to learn a skill. If you guys are looking to do anything, you got any new goals in life, I hope you achieve them. I believe in you. God believes in you. Don't ever look back unless you're counting yesterday's money, guys. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay hard. My name's Jose Avila. I had a long day today. Did a lot of bidding. Did a lot of negotiating contracts, things like that. We got some Panda Expresses coming up all over the United States. Actually, we got some in Louisiana, got some in Oklahoma, got some here in Texas. So it's looking good. It's looking good. Everybody, hope you guys stay blessed. Have a good evening, and I'll catch you on the next one tomorrow. Me and Mosi are going to be headed back out there to the West County Coroner's Office to hit up Mr. Make Me Sweat Mando and Mr. KKK Calum. So we're going to go ahead and hit them boys up and see how they're doing, because I'm pretty sure they've been putting in work. They've been calling me every once in a while and letting me know, so they've been doing good. So we'll see how they're doing. We'll catch up with them, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Y'all be safe. Y'all stay blessed. See y'all later. Bye.